All right, let's take a look at this welder here. This comes in a box. The tips you got to put in, and then you need to align them. I think they're out of alignment. You can just loosen up these things here and slide that back and forth and align them up. So I'll put it all together. We'll give it a shot. Let's see how it works. They give you a couple extra tips, which is nice. I believe that they do need to be tight, at least fairly snug. Remember, these are made out of what looks like copper or brass. I'm not sure. It comes with the handle off, so got to put that on. You know, I would make sure to read the safety instructions. I know not to use this thing without welding gloves and goggles. It does spit sparks when you use it. So also needs to be adjusted so that these two things, these ones are actually pretty well adjusted so that they touch together. Also, I'm going to adjust the handle. I want the handle to be a little tighter, like this. I'm holding it. See if I'm right, I don't know. Never used one, but I think it needs to be a little tighter. Just so you can get your finger to the trigger easier. Because it is heavy. Let's see about there. Tighten it up a little bit. I'll bring you back in. This is where I ended up. And then do your adjustment. Of course, it's not plugged in, of course. Anyway, got it all adjusted up. Let's try it. All right, the things that I would be concerned about being careful of is see how I've got this thing rested on this metal, and let's say I'm leaning against here, possibly getting shocked or burned from that. So I would always say to hold it away like this, and then we'll go ahead and pull the trigger. Let's see, what about 3 seconds? And then this is 20 gauge, so yeah, that worked great. Fused it on there pretty good. Let's see how hard it is to get apart. But that's what I would say to do. Be careful with not touching the surface that you're working on, and it does a fantastic job, looks like to me. So that's 20 gauge. Let's try it on something thicker. All right, so we got some 13 gauge. 20 gauge seemed to work all right. I gotta put my gloves on, goggles on. I'm gonna hold this thing tight a little bit. Hold it away from the other metal. Four, 5, 6. About 6 seconds there. Thicker metal, I think it's got to be put on there a little stronger. Let's get a hammer and see if we can beat that thing off. Well, I don't really know if I held it on there long enough for that, but let's just try it. See, yep, it came right off. I thought it would. I'm going to say you got to hold it a lot longer for stick steel. I really wouldn't use it for much more than sheet metal myself. You know how hot that piece is. Yeah, it's pretty hot. Let's try it again. So let's try a piece of 20 gauge sheet metal and connect it to this 13 gauge. That's more like something you might do. I would not use it for thicker steel. Actually, I would always drill and spot weld that because I don't think it's going to be really that strong for that. But you might have a situation where you need to put a thin piece of metal on a thick piece of steel. Let's see how it does. Give it a little. a little longer on there. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can get it to work. Let's see if we can test that on the bench there. You guys think it's gonna hold? I let it get red that time, so I think that's pretty much required. Yeah, that's on there pretty good. If you had multiples of this on there, it'll eventually chip it off. That's pretty good for a pinch weld. It's actually welded on there pretty good. So putting larger pieces in, I think you're just going to need to hold it quite a bit longer. We can try again doing this piece. It might be a little cooler now. Still kind of warm, but this other piece is hot. I'll bring you guys back in a second. All right, remember this thing it'll burn you if you're not careful. I mean, I watched a guy holding it like on a piece of metal and then he touched something and it burned him. So let's try this at about 10 seconds or so. Let's let it get red. Let's see if it does. I don't know if it's going to trip the breaker or something. Okay, watch the tip get red. I bet it's holding now. All right, let's take a look at it in a minute. All right, I left myself a pretty good size here. Got my chisel. Oh, still didn't hold. So, I really don't think it's really meant for thick steel. I would just stick to sheet metal. And obviously it didn't hold that at all. So, but it does, I mean, I've seen guys do like netting and all kinds of stuff with it. But I think it's really designed for sheet metal. If you guys are wondering, maybe you're wondering if it would do that or not. It might if you hold it longer, but I think I would just not do it that way. I would definitely use the MIG drill holes. All right, let's try something I don't think it's really designed to do. Let's try the square tubing. This is cold rolled square tubing, and this is actually electro-galvanized steel, which I think it will actually weld that, which is kind of like zinc coated steel. And let's try to see if it holds. It'd be interesting to know, right? All right, so I've got one end resting on a welding glove so it's not touching the metal frame. Well, let's try it. I'll be careful not to touch anything. And I'm going to squeeze this down a little bit and hold it right in place where it's at. I'm going to hold it a long time because I want to see if it'll actually do it. Okay. So notice I didn't touch the frame. If I touch that frame, it might shock me because it's touching down here. Well, let's see if it held. Anybody think? What do you think? You guys think it'll hold? I don't think it will, but no. It was almost wanting to hold. Maybe if it held it a little longer, I don't know. I don't think it's recommended for that. But I decided to try it just to see if it definitely needs the heat on both sides of the metal. It needs to penetrate all the way through and weld the two together. So I would say mostly this thing's designed for sheet metal. It'll probably do fine for any sheet metal application. Let's try it again just for fun. What do you guys think? Think we should try it again? All right, we're living dangerously a little bit. I should lift that thing up. Alright, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Let's go with 17 seconds. Looks like it was getting pretty red. Maybe it'll hold. I don't know, I doubt it. No. Looks like it would take like 30 seconds or more. And it still just doesn't, you can just see it doesn't go all the way through. But just for fun, I thought I'd try that. Something a little different. I haven't seen somebody try. But, you know, we all know it works for sheet metal. It looks like it would hold pretty good for that. You know, as far as, you know, the other options are, this is the one from Harbor Freight, so the other options are you could get one somewhere else and maybe get something that's better. something you might think is better quality. You know what? I don't think you're going to find much better than this. It's very sturdy made. It looks like it's, you know, pretty solid aluminum cast, and it's very heavy. Working with this, you know, if you're doing panels, it's going to take a little bit of energy to hold that thing, and it'll probably do the job. So it depends on how much you're going to use it. If you're using it like doing thousands of spot welds, maybe buy a $20,000 one. You know, one of those ones on a robotic arm. They sell those. They have those out. That's what body shops use. But if you're doing your own restoration project, something like here, this might be fine. What I'm going to use it for coming up is I'm actually going to use it to put some pinches on here. I'll show you some other things. I'll be putting a new skin on the nose on this. I believe it will work okay for that. But I'm going to be going through 3 layers, so you know I'm going to hold it for quite a while to make sure it penetrates all the way through on that. So I'm going to use it to put those skins on. I buy these doors and they come in, the skin comes off the shell because they have multiple different skins for the outside for different years, and then one shell, so they don't have to inventory all that. To put the skin on the shell, I'm going to use that machine for the top edge. Okay, for the bottom and around here, I'm probably going to just use panel adhesive because water tends to get inside there, and then it'll have actually something between the 2 layers for that. And then, but for the top edge, definitely going to use that machine to put the top edge on. So that'll be a lot easier for that. So there's a lot of things to use it for. It's actually a nice tool to have. It's like $159. You can't use a coupon. Sometimes you can find a particular coupon for the item, and then if you use that, you can get a discount. But it really, I don't know, in comparison to the other things out there, it's pretty inexpensive and not a bad buy. I would say it's definitely one of those things to if you're doing metal work, nice to have. I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.